ですか？
Joe Biden uses the mass shootings in Virginia, both of them, and the one in Colorado Springs to call for a new assault weapons ban and more gun control in a lame duck session. Just like I told you he was going to do. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what's going to happen with this, where this is going to go, and what we do with that, what we do with this information here. As I tell you that I was right yet again. In other news, a prospective rail strike may leave millions of pounds of crap in New York City. I know, I'm not talking about exporting goods. I'm not talking about stuff that nobody would actually want, but it's still being manufactured there. I'm talking about actual crap. We've got reporting from Daily Wire and Just the News talking about what that means and where we go with that. China is starting to see protests against their lockdowns. Yes, it appears that the ultimate Zerg rush is starting to realize that they can Zerg rush their own authority as well. And, well, I want to get some popcorn and I'm here for it. We'll be talking just a bit about that. And Elon Musk decides on mass amnesty for people who didn't break the law. And he does it by a poll once again, so we'll talk about that. It is going to be all this and more. Welcome to the final Morning Time Contemporary. I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. One more time in the morning, folks. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar. This will be the last time, and I have announced this privately and publicly to most of you. I am moving in just a few days here. Well, I guess it does kind of look like that around here. I was going to say, it probably doesn't even look like that, but I mean, I've got everything off the top of all the furniture. I still have to put my movies and DVDs away, but I've got one more box to do that, and I'm going to hide some of the stuff from like my nightstand and whatnot in there too, but yeah, it looks like otherwise, for the most part, I am all set to be out of here. Got myself a new job. Unfortunately, it is a start at 7:30 in the morning job, so I can't be here, sitting here at 7:30 in the morning, in spite of the fact that I didn't start until 7:45 today. That was my bad. I was trying to round some up. I mean, when I went to bed last night, a lot of the news hadn't come out yet because most people were still in their turkey coma, but yeah, I got some new stuff rounded up here, and we are going to be going. I'm not going to stop doing this. I love streaming. I love sitting down here, reading the news with you guys, going over it, analyzing it, being surprised, and seeing some of it for the first time with you guys, the way that I do. I love doing that. I enjoy doing that to no avail, to no end. It's probably become one of my favorite things to do, but unfortunately, because of work scheduling, it is going to have to move into evening news, which means I get to compete with the likes of... Well, I guess I don't even know who's on evening cable news anymore because I don't have any network television coming in here. I don't know who your nightly anchors are, but I'll be maybe competing with some of them, but hopefully we can pull in a West Coast audience. I know that getting up and going straight into the news at 5:30 in the morning is probably not the best thing for the people who are fans who are still out to dry in places like Los Angeles, Eastern Washington, Seattle possibly, San Francisco, and places like that. Or even my friend Saint, who is over in Arizona, getting up at 6:30 in the morning for that. So, yeah, it's gonna be a time, and I think we can still pull together. I think we can pull a bigger audience, and possibly not. And I mean, one of the things too is I have looked at some of what's going on here. I am competing, which at the time when we started this, I didn't really have any major competition, but now with webcasting, I'm competing against Styx, who decided to get into the live stream business and is also on currently right now. Austin Peterson, another very respected member of the independent, well, I guess he's dependent because he's on terrestrial radio, but the independence and the Liberty side. So we'll move it around. We'll see how it goes, and we'll see if we can pull some more people in here. I know that my gaming streams have been very popular, even on a weekday night. So I think we can do this. Plus, most of the time, if I jump into the Discord chat, I can get a lot of people going in a conversation in that time slot too. So I'm very confident. I'm very confident that we can pull together and make this show, this channel, and this news community even more popular on an evening time slot. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing you guys here, but we're not here to go and opine and reminisce and everything else right now. We're here for the news. So before we get started, make sure you guys go check out great programming such as The Daily Ignoramus, The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, The R-Rated Conservative, The Porch Boys. Go check out Tweets by Brit, Overruled with KTZed, Mr. Behavior, The No Gimmicks Podcast, and PJ Patriot, as we bring you a host of people whose intent is to bring you news and culture from the common man for the common man. Definitely go check all of them out. It's going to be a great time. And let's get started. Let's get into the news. Let's see what everybody's having to say. And by the way, as we do get into everything, I get to come back out and say that I was right yet again. Let's look at the news. Starting with the Dow, which is open today. I did not believe that was going to be open today, but it is going to be open today. The Dow is at 34,194.06. That did not move at all yesterday because yesterday was a federal holiday. It is Thanksgiving. It is at 34,194.06. The futures look like they are coming back up. Today is going to be a shortened trading day to end off the week, so we will see what is happening with that and where that goes. We do have some futures news as well, looking at the Bitcoin, which is at 16,500 US dollars even. That is down 85.50 on today, or about 0.5%, bringing us out to the 5-day because Bitcoin is a global commodity and has traded through the Thanksgiving holiday all the rest around the world. 16.5, that is up 247.50 on the 5-day. Looking at yesterday, it does look like there was some tumble throughout the day yesterday. A little bit in the beginning of the day as people were probably making some last-minute shopping ideas or things like that. And then a little bit of a jump at the end of the day before tumbling back out once again to the point where we are sitting at right now with that. Looking at gas prices across the Madison Metro. Unchanged yet again, the BP on the north side at 320. The Quick Trip on the far west side is at 320. The Quick Trip on the far east side is at 330. Going into the Isthmus, that Quick Trip actually dropped slightly to 326. The Amoco on the Isthmus is at 320. The Exxon, the Speedway at the far west side are at 330 and 340 respectively. And the BP leaving town on the Beltline is at 340. So we sit mostly unchanged with the gas prices. These are not going to reflect your local gas prices. Various factors, including taxation, supply chain, and etc., will affect your gas prices differently. So do consult with your local Google affiliate to see what your gas prices are where you live. And this is just basically a pattern walk because we've been watching the Madison gas prices and sometimes the surrounding areas when the Madison gas prices aren't that good. But we've been watching the Madison gas prices since, well, basically since gas hit 90 cents a gallon, all the way back at the beginning of this program. So that's what we see coming from that. Let's grab one from Investors Business Daily and see what they have to say. First, we'll look at an advertisement for Black Friday. Dow futures rise to close out the week. Tesla to recall about 80,000 cars in China. From Scott Latonin. Dow futures rose Friday as the stock market looked to close out the week of solid gains. The stock market will close early on Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. China-related stocks showed weakness Friday as China's new COVID cases hit a record high. Nearly 30,000 infections were recorded on Wednesday, surpassing the previous record in April. Alibaba, JD.com both declined around 3% in early morning trade. Electric vehicle giant Tesla traded up 2% on Friday morning. Early Friday, China's market regulator said Tesla planned to conduct over-the-air fixes of about 80,000 cars in China due to the battery management system and seat belt issues. Activision Blizzard dropped more than 3% in the bottom of the NASDAQ composite to S&P after news reports on Wednesday that the Federal Trade Commission was likely to file an antitrust lawsuit to block Microsoft's $69 billion takeover of the video game leader. Oh, that's lame. Not that I'm really particularly excited for Microsoft to take over yet another franchise, but when I do look at that, I see all the problems that Blizzard Activision had, and given the fact that they put out some of my favorite video games, I would like to purchase from them again, but I can't do so. Given all the problems that they've had, both in wokeness and in sexual harassment. I really, really, really want to buy Diablo 2 Remastered and play that on stream. But I can't do that while Activision Blizzard is at the top. I can't do it. I can't bring myself to spend the money with them. Dow tech leaders Apple and Microsoft were mixed ahead of today's stock market open. IBD leaderboard stock Arista Networks, KLA, Shoals Technology, and Ulta Beauty, as well as Dow Jones names Caterpillar and Chevron, are among the top stocks to buy and watch. Arista Networks is an IBD leaderboard stock and was a recent IBD stock of the day. Ulta Beauty was featured in this week's Stocks Nearby Zone column. Shoals was a recent IBD 50 Stocks to Watch pick. Ahead of Friday's opening bell, Dow futures rose 0.1 versus fair value, while S&P 500 moved up less than 0.1. Tech-heavy NASDAQ traded down 0.2 in early morning action. Among the ETFs, the NASDAQ Invesco QQQ Trust fell 0.15 early Friday. The SPDR S&P 500 gained 0.15. The 10-year yield ticked higher to 3.71 Friday morning, still near its recent lows, and threatening to extend the losing streak to 3 sessions. Meanwhile, U.S. oil prices rebounded Friday morning, but were still on pace for heavy weekly losses. West Texas Intermediate rose more than 2% to above $79 a barrel. So that's what we see coming from the markets here. A little bit mixed. And if you do want to do some activity today, you've got until 1 o'clock Eastern Time or noon Central to do so. Let's look in at the reason for the season. I do want to grab this one before we get into the horrible bad news here from the Blaze, because I saw this at the top of the Blaze yesterday while I was trying to aggregate news, and I thought it was important to look at. What I am thankful for this year, Christ's unimpeachable victory over sin and death. From Joe McKinnon. When dwelling on political ephemera and dealing with the tribulations that crop up in our day-to-day, it can be easy to lose sight of the bigger picture. And, with that occasional loss of cosmic focus, perhaps also easy to lose hope. After all, we have much to concern ourselves with, and much that might prompt us, time-bound, creatures to despair. There are, for instance, foreign entanglements that may soon embroil us in horrific global conflicts, cultural forces that seek to undermine our relationship with the truth and strike the pillars of our civilization, and politicians who seek to subordinate the will of the many to bolster the power of a select few. Wars, iconoclasts, and tyranny are nothing new, but in the grand scheme of things, they are newly conquered. In the Near East 2 millennia ago, God became man and dwelt among us. Like many in America and across the world, I hold true that he conquered sin and death, and that the gates of hell cannot prevail against his pilgrimage, church on earth. The Catholic political scientist Eric von Kuhnelt-Ledding, hailed as a great teacher and a great man by Bill Buckley Jr., underscored in The Timeless Christian how Christ broke the power of Satan so that since Christ's sacrificial death, we live in an eschatological period when evil is fighting only a rearguard action, even though this can affect quite considerably destruction of the good. In the pages of The Blaze, we often report on the nature of that rearguard action, whereby evil, marked for annihilation since the crucifixion, does significant damage in the here and now. But upon prayerful reflection early morning, I'm refilled with hope and gratitude, recognizing that no matter how seemingly insurmountable our daily battles, the war has ultimately been won on our behalf. What's more, it wasn't won by remote decree. It was won in person in the ultimate form of revolution. When the Creator was washed the feet of and suffered at the hands of his creations, dying so that we might live. G.K. Chesterton noted in Orthodoxy that Christianity alone has felt that God, to be holy God, must have been a rebel as well as a king. Like our rebel God before his ultimate act of rebellion, we can break bread with our friends and families on Thursday knowing that we have the love of the Father and the support of the Holy Spirit that we share in the Son's eternal victory. I'm doubly grateful to God this Thanksgiving, not only that I should have had this time on earth with my lovely wife, unborn daughter, and wonderful family, but that our age has passed when we will meet again, having been freed from sin and death. Well spoken. Very well spoken. And I mean, I look back and I reflect on my life, and I look around myself, and it was a little stressful to sit by myself and have a video game marathon on Thanksgiving. It really was. I'd honestly thought that I had put those days behind me when I left the greater East Coast area. But really, honestly, when I look at it, it was probably for the better at a given point. Rather than traveling across a state, coming back, and then traveling across again. Because, well, in just a couple days, I will have a new residence and a new place. But I reflect on things, and I look at how bad my life in Kenosha was, and I was a bad person. I needed that kick in the pants to make myself better, to look at and say, the Lord can give it, and the Lord can take it away in a heartbeat. But one of the things that I look at when I look around and I look at the fact that the new job is coming, the fact that even going into a recession, I'll be a little bit more comfortable than I would have been otherwise. When I look at all these things, I look at the fact that, hey, maybe I will be spared. Maybe I have been forgiven. I've already looked to find a new church in my new area. I might even experiment with the Orthodoxy. I don't know, because, well, I just don't know. I've never even been to an Orthodox church, and it may not work out for me, but I might try it. I was raised Lutheran. I don't know if they would even accept me at that point, but a few things to reflect on and what we're thankful for. So, thank you, Joseph McKinnon, for those insightful words. And with that, let's talk about the president. From Fox News, Biden calls for more gun control before GOP takes House. Says it's sick to allow semi-automatic weapon sales. Guess what? I was right. From Harris Alik. President Biden said on Thursday that he would push Congress to enact new gun control laws before Republicans took control of the U.S. House of Representatives in January. Biden told reporters during a press event in Nantucket that the recent shooting at the LGBTQI-RAMIGXTBYAMOUTIRZ, because Silentcaster says we have to use the Z, nightclub in Colorado had reinforced the need to pass an assault weapons ban. The idea that we still allow semi-automatic weapons to be purchased is sick, said Biden. It has no socially redeeming value. Not a single solitary rationale for it except profit for the gun manufacturers. I will touch on that in just a moment. Semi-auto includes, including handguns and rifles, fire one bullet for each pull of the trigger. Biden said he would push federal lawmakers to enact new assault weapons ban before January, when the next Congress took office and Republicans gained control of the House. I'm gonna try, man. I'm gonna try to get rid of assault weapons. Biden said he would engage lawmakers to make a broader assessment of whether the success is possible. At the moment, the odds appear long. Democrats hold the House by a narrow margin until January. The Senate, meanwhile, is split 50-50 between both parties for a sweeping gun control package to pass, including a ban on assault weapons. At least 10 GOP supporters will be needed to break the Senate's 60-vote filibuster threshold. What did I tell you? What did I tell you when I started questioning the timing of the shooting in Colorado only a week after what happened in Virginia that didn't fit the narrative? Person of a swarthier skin tone, and then the handgun. And then also, by the way, the Walmart shooting, person of a swarthier skin tone, and a handgun. And why do you think they are so desperately clinging to calling this dude a he, him, instead of a they, them? Whereas normally they'd be out screaming to the ends of the earth to tell you that you're a bigot for saying he, him, to somebody who calls himself a they, them. It's because they wanted to have this in the lame duck session. And again, I always look at this and I say, was this planned? Not necessarily is the guy that did this or the they, them that did this a federal agent, but is the they, them that did this, did they look past his red flags, his felony arrests, and just, you know what, go click the button. Go click the button to say yes. Say yes to this guy. Let him go buy a firearm. Whatever happens, happens. Oddly enough, right before the lame duck session hits. Or are we going to find out that this particular they, them, Mix Alderson, are we going to find out that this particular person was in a certain Discord with another federal agent? I don't know. But he's going to go bring it back up again. And it almost seems too convenient. We're sitting here at a point where the Biden agenda is crippled. And yet, here we are, having the question once again. So, that's what we see coming off of that. Let's grab one from the New York Post, which we've actually... No video on this one. Let me see if I can find video on this. Mostly because it got really warm and allergies are acting up again. Yeah, we've got one. Oops. Gotta refresh. It looks like you're using an ad blocker. Alright, let's have a listen to them for just a moment. Okay, apparently we don't have video on this because this will be investigators searching for motive in the Walmart shooting. I do want to look at that, but not right now. Let's look at the other direction. If we keep doing this, my nose might just clear up, actually. There's one. Let's have a listen.
Thanksgiving holiday, calling military members to thank them for their service.
And when he gets back to business after the holidays, some major end-of-year challenges await. That's even before the GOP takes over the House in January. Here's Natalie Brand.
President Biden, the First Lady, and their grandson Beau delivered thanks and pumpkin pies to firefighters on this Thanksgiving Day. When the president returns to the White House after spending the holiday in Nantucket, a full plate of urgent domestic issues awaits him. Thursday, he said his team has been in touch with the parties trying to head off a nationwide freight rail strike that could snarl the transport of vital goods.
I have not directly engaged yet because they're still talking.
A walkout could start early next month if unions and railroads fail to agree on a new contract soon. And in the wake of devastating mass shootings at an LGBTQ club in Colorado and a Virginia Walmart, the president renewed his call for an assault weapons ban.
The idea we still allow semi-automatic weapons to be purchased is sick. It's just sick. It has no social redeeming value. Zero, none.
Some Democratic lawmakers are calling for a vote before the end of the year, ahead of the U.S. House transitioning to GOP control next session.
Even if it gets voted down, it might make sense to have it on the record so people know who's been in favor of it and who isn't. And I do think in the next Congress, we're going to have to try and do much more to try and come up with comprehensive gun reform.
While Congress passed a bipartisan gun safety bill earlier this year, more stringent measures have been out of reach in the Senate, which next year will remain narrowly divided. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
So that's what they had to say. And I mean, we do have his full statement as well, which we'll look at. And I do thank you for your patience on what we went on with that. But yeah. I told you this was going to do this. I told you this was going to happen. Let's read the statement from the White House. Whitehouse.gov. Remarks by President Biden after visiting with local firefighters. Question. Can you comment on the Walmart shooting, Mr. President? The President. Heavily edited. I'm sick and tired of these shootings. We should have much stricter gun laws. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, Mr. President. Happy Thanksgiving to all, man. Look, Fat. The idea that we're not enforcing red flag laws, period. Just based on knowledge. Not on parents saying, or loved ones saying, you should arrest the person now for his own sake, is ridiculous. We got one of the first red flag laws in the state of Delaware, man. And my son, Beau, was the one enforcing it. And it made a lot of difference. It saves lives, man. And that's number one. Number two, the idea that we'll allow semi-automatic weapons to be purchased is just sick, man. It's just sick. It had no social redeeming value. Zero. None. Not a single solitary rationale for it, except profit for the gun manufacturer. Can you do anything about the gun laws during the lame duck, sir? I'm gonna try. What will you try and do? I'm gonna try and get rid of assault weapons, man. During the lame duck. I'm gonna do whatever I gotta make the assessment and get in and start counting the votes. Can you give your assessment on whether the Ukraine aid will need to be topped up in the lame duck? Well, yeah, and as a matter of fact, I just had another drawdown. I signed another drawdown of over $300 million, and there's no time. This is no time to walk away from Ukraine, not at all. So, by the way, there's $300 million more dollars going to Ukraine. Oh, we had a lot to talk about in this last election about whether or not the other team is going to continue to support Ukraine. And I still believe there's enough support there that we can continue. Are you involved in the railroad negotiations? Can you talk about what the holdup is? I can't because it's the middle of negotiations still, but have you been in touch with the parties? Are you involved? My team has been in touch with all the parties, in rooms with the parties. And then they go on to talk about his birthday and the oil price cap. I want to talk about these semi-automatic weapons for just a moment. Now, Biden comes out with his typical old man anger, and I'm just sick and tired of all these damn shootings, man. Come on, man. Why are we? Well, we should have much stricter gun laws. Back in my day, all you needed was a shotgun to go and defend your house. Here's my problem. The Second Amendment was put there for me to be able to defend my home from anybody, from a crackhead to a member of your U.S. government. The Second Amendment was meant to put us on par. In fact, I would say that we have way too many restrictions right now to put us on par with your government. For us to be able to stand up against your government and keep them in check. And the fact that Democrats are continually trying to disarm you tells me that they are planning to do something that you would shoot them for. And I will say this. When they keep telling me, oh, you can't take on the government because you don't have nukes or Apache helicopters. And you don't have automatic rifles. We made sure of that. You can't take on the might of the military, man. Come on. Okay. Well, there are two things to that. First off, you insist that our weapons have no place in the battlefield. But when you're going to be bringing the battlefield to us, then my weapons do have a place here. Second off, I will gladly disarm myself to just basic double-action revolver, shotgun, lever action, etc. I do quite enjoy bolt action, but first, before I do that as a show of good faith, you, the Commander-in-Chief of the government, who controls what it is that the government has and does not have, must also disarm and destroy all of your semi-automatic and automatic weaponry. Every last piece of it. All of it gone. And then I will have a conversation about disarming myself. The shotgun, lever action, and double action revolver. Until you do that, I don't want to hear a damn thing about what the rest of us own. Especially, and this is the biggest part, especially, you bring up the red flag laws. The Colorado shooting, and I believe the Virginia shooting, does Virginia have red flag? I am 95% positive they do. Yes, Virginia does have red flags. Virginia's red flag law has been used hundreds of times since taking effect. Except in the situation that we're in right now, it wasn't used then. You know, the red flag should have been able to be used, especially with everything they were saying about the shooter in the Walmart. They knew that he was socially isolated. They knew that he was having mental issues, that he would come in and talk crazy crap. They knew that he was antisocial. That should have been red flaggable. I am 100% against red flag laws, but if you're going to use them as the justification to go disarm the rest of the country, then you need to start enforcing those first before you go start making new laws. Not just selectively because you think that, letting one person go nuts is going to get your agenda passed. Enforce what's on the books before you go out and try to make new ones, or get rid of what's on the books. So that's what we see coming off of that. And yet another instance of Allison Camerota. And it's always Allison Camerota, too. I don't know why CNN came out and said, Allison, you're going to be the one who covers everything for the Colorado Springs shooter, because she's clearly uncomfortable with it. She clearly hates the fact that she's doing it. But we have another Allison Camerota interview caught on Twitter video from the Daily Wire. CNN host, guest struggle with Club Q shooter's non-binary identity. That's a man. No, that's hate speech. From Amanda Prestigiacomo. You know, that's exactly it, Horatius. Yes, if they're going to have them, they should enforce them equally across the board, but, you know, the people who can help them get their agenda across, who might go up and shoot up a nightclub, or a school, or a Walmart, or another school, those ones will be conveniently looked aside from. Oh, we looked at the red flag law, we found nothing wrong. CNN host Allison Camerota and a guest on the network struggled with the gender non-conforming identity of the Colorado Club Q shooting suspect. Networks like CNN adhere to identifying people with their preferred pronouns and advance radical gender theory, but seem to have abandoned those rules when it comes to the nightclub shooting. Notably, the legacy media painted the shooting as a targeted hate crime against the LGBTQIRAMIGIOUTALMPRXTI+sign-Z community before recent developments about the alleged shooter, who will not be named per Daily Wire policy. The attorneys for the shooter are now saying that the shooter is non-binary. The shooter would like to use the pronouns they, them for the court and all court papers. That's what Redacted's attorneys are saying. Do you have any thoughts on that? Camerota asked CNN guest Natalie Bingham. According to the Post Millennial, the guest, who identifies as a trans woman, is a friend of the victim in the tragic shooting. Let's listen.
Attorneys for the accused shooter, Anderson Lee Aldrich, say in new court filings tonight that the suspect now identifies as non-binary. In a footnote to a motion asserting legal privileges, the public defenders say, quote, Anderson...
The body language of Allison Camerota on this. The footnote of the filing says that, oh my... oh, we hate the fact that we have to say this. Oh, boy. Oh, it's a they, them. No, it's supposed to be a straight white Christian male.
Aldrich is non-binary. They use they, them pronouns, and for the purposes of all formal filings will be addressed as Mix Aldrich. So, in other words, not Mr. or Ms. Joining me now, CNN political commentator Errol Lewis, also back with me, Al Franken and Joe Walsh. I don't know what to say about that. I mean, that's not anything that we had heard from his background. You know, people have been looking into his background, and I don't know if anybody here, are you guys lawyers? I mean, you know, I don't know if, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, that's what he's now saying.
It sounds like they're trying to prepare a defense against a hate crimes charge. That's the least of his problems, legally speaking.
So, we watched this video. I didn't realize that until they had Walsh and Franken on there, but I guess it must have been because I saw the opening clip here with the he-she that's over there and the he-she that's over there. Though I thought this was going to be a different clip. I thought this was going to be our third clip. But yes, both the major prominent ones out there have come from Camerota. Some on the right highlighted the left's change on the shooting narrative and their refusal to accept self-proclaimed gender identity. Matt Walsh. Sorry, but you on the left. If you're on the left, then you have no right to deny the shooter's non-binary identity. You set a precedent, and we will hold you to it. You have to respect his identity. I don't. You do. These are your rules. Now take your medicine and shut up. Your rules are clear. All self-identities are valid and cannot be questioned ever, under any circumstances. Again, your rules. You're stuck with this. The shooter is non-binary. You have no choice but to accept it. Sorry. And they are having trouble with this. If you go down through my Twitter, which we might do that, down at the replies, bring this over here, you'll probably see a slew of me proclaiming to people that I have reported for hate speech. Maybe we'll have to go. I didn't really spend any time on it yesterday. Yeah, here's one. How the poster knows the shooter is trans. I have not seen or heard a shred of evidence that backs this up. Which I replied, you don't need evidence, you bigot. You sound very MAGA. Next you'll be saying trans women just need to get access to girls' locker rooms. Or just trying to get, rather, access to girls' locker rooms. To perv. Yeah, that one was a little bit of fun too. I guess it is scrolling the way back. I thought it was a little bit closer than that. I guess I've been way more active on Twitter than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, I spend a lot of time coming out there saying, yeah, I'm going to report you because you're doing hate speech. You're perpetuating hateful rhetoric against these people who just want to be trans and left alone. But now we do have this one, which I queued up for later, because Biden talks stricter gun laws during the Thanksgiving trek to Nantucket is the headline of the article, but the video that's queued up on top says investigators search for motive into Walmart shooting. Let's listen.
Grappling with the loss of 6 lives inside a Walmart Tuesday night. And we're also learning new details tonight about the possible motive of the 31-year-old gunman. We now know more about the victims and the jobs they held. They ranged in age from 16 to 70 and included an overnight shelf stocker and custodian. After the shooting, President Biden said because of yet another horrific and senseless act of violence, there are now even more tables across this country that will have empty seats this Thanksgiving. This morning, he called on Congress to try to do something to save lives and again called for a ban on assault weapons. We have a lot of news to get to tonight, and CBS's Jeff Pegues joins me here at the studio to give us more on what you know. Jeff?
Jerika, on this Thanksgiving, investigators working on that mass shooting did not stop. They are digging into the gunman's past, but his final weeks on the job may offer the clearest picture yet of what caused him to lash out at the other Walmart employees. The search for answers in the mass shooting in Chesapeake, Virginia continued as investigators combed through evidence at the Walmart and at the home of Andre Bing. Police say 31-year-old Bing, a store manager, opened fire in the Walmart, killing 6 and injuring 7 before turning the gun on himself. Multiple media reports say Bing's phone contained notes complaining about his job and harassment from his coworkers. All of the dead were store employees. Police have not named the 6th victim since he is a minor. 22-year-old Tynika Johnson was described by her friend as one of the most loving people you could ever meet.
I just wish that I could just bring her back because, like, she didn't deserve that.
Brian Pendleton was the night custodian. His brother said that he was someone with a big heart for anybody that needed help. Sarah Stone Walker was among the 7 injured. A mother of 3, she was an overnight stocker at the store and has worked there for about 2 years. President Biden today called for stronger gun control measures, vowing to push for an assault weapons ban.
And we listened to that video already too. From the sounds of it, from everything that I've seen, it just looks like the guy was pushed to the edge because, number one, there was already a problem there, but number 2, you had the stress of the holidays, and he snapped. Plain and simple. I've never seen it go that far as a shooting, but I've seen the warning signs working retail dozens and dozens of times. People get into it because they have no place else to go. They're bad at it. And the stress eats them alive. All right, let's talk oil and gas. Anywhere but here, you guys. Anywhere but our soil and our oil. From Reuters, U.S. prepared to authorize Chevron to boost Venezuela's oil output. From Mariana Paraga, Chevron would win U.S. approval to vastly expand operations in Venezuela as soon as Saturday once Venezuelan government and its population resume political talks. 3 people familiar with the matter said on Wednesday. A U.S. authorization for Chevron to help rebuild the country's sagging oil production was one of the biggest plums for bringing about talks between the Venezuelan government and its opposition. U.S. officials this year sought to smooth a return to negotiations between Socialist President Nicolas Maduro and the country's opposition by offering a slight easing of sanctions and releasing some Venezuelans in U.S. jails. Both Venezuelan parties and the U.S. officials are pushing to hold talks in Mexico City this weekend, the People said, the first since October 2021. Maduro gained clout this year with newly elected leftist leaders in Brazil and Colombia and the opposition's weakening support. Chevron did not immediately reply to a request for comment. U.S. President Biden's admin has reason to grant a wider license with the U.S. shale production's gains slowing, Russia's oil exports shrinking under sanctions, and Saudi Arabia signaling possible OPEC output cuts. Well, given the fact that you stand up on the bully pulpit every day and denounce somebody who is an actual ally of Saudi Arabia, namely Russia, yeah, I could see why they would come out and say, you know what, no, we just don't need to pump oil that fast. We've got enough for ourselves. We've got enough for China. We've got enough to go back and supply anybody we want to. We don't need to give it to you. The U.S. this year has kept oil prices from soaring by releasing more than 200 million barrels of the nation's emergency oil reserves. These releases wrap up next month, which means your gas prices are coming back up. Biden admin had signaled any easing of Venezuela's sanctions, including granting Chevron a broad license to revive oil output and regain trading privileges in Venezuela, would come only if the two sides had progressed in political talks. Anywhere but here, folks. Anywhere but here. Let's talk about this one from Just the News. Prospective rail strike may leave millions of pounds. I hope that my niece and nephew aren't listening because I see that my mom is here. Prospective rail strike may leave millions of pounds of shit in New York City. Quest? You might want to hop out of there for a little bit. From Ben Whedon. A prospective national railway strike could halt the trains that transport human waste out of New York City, leaving residents of the Big Apple stuck with only the roughly 2.4 million pounds of excrement they produce each day. I didn't know they transported stuff out of New York City by train. I didn't know they transported crap out of there by train. That's wild. Members of the nation's largest union of rail workers on Monday rejected a contract with major railroads, paving the way for a strike in the coming weeks. Under normal circumstances, New York City's human waste would enter landfills spread across the southern United States via train. Isn't that the most apt metaphor for the people that are leaving New York City to go to colonize in Georgia and South Carolina and Florida? New York is spreading their crap all over the South. Oh my God. Or when they export their crappy television shows that get watched in the South. That's another way to look at it too. New York is spreading their crap all over the South. Daily Wire noted, federal law prohibits city from dumping its fecal matter into the ocean. Without running trains, the waste would remain in the city, presenting a significant threat to public health. New York authorities assured the public that the city was preparing for such a scenario, but cautioned that a sustained delay in the city's poop disposal would be disastrous. New York City Sanitation Commissioner Jessica Tisch told the Daily Beast that we're working closely with our contracted vendors and prepared to do all that we can in a worst-case scenario. But let me be clear, a prolonged disruption of the rail network for trash removal represents a real threat to the public health and safety of the city of New York. Congress is currently out of session due to Thanksgiving, but will likely attempt to intervene in negotiations to halt the strike and the potential ramifications of the idle feces transports. Wow. I'm going to tell you right now, if you have a CDL, or the ability to get a CDL, I would start letting people in local, especially LTL, dock-to-dock companies that you've got one, because I'm going to tell you right off the bat, right now, there are going to be a lot of people that are willing to pay a lot of money for a CDL. I'm debating seeing what the vacation policy is where I work, or where I'm going to be working, rather. Because I know that I can go back and make money hand over fist with it. And if you have the potential to get one, I would go get one right now. And then go see what your company's vacation policy is. Because you can turn around and double dip and make a buttload of money for the next few weeks. I don't think they have enough trucks and trailers to deal with what rail does, but they can make a dent. Let's talk about China. From the Associated Press, protesting workers beaten at Chinese iPhone factory. Oh no, you get back to work! From Joe McDonald and Zen Su. Police beat workers protesting over a pay dispute at the biggest factory for Apple's iPhone, whose new model is delayed by controls imposed as China tries to contain a surge in the Pinko Pox cases. Foxconn, the biggest contractor assembler of smartphones and other electronics, is struggling to fill orders for the iPhone 14 after thousands of employees walked away from the factory in the central city of Zhengzhou last month following complaints about unsafe working conditions. I have a friend that lives in New York City. I'm going to leave that comment to myself. China's status as an export powerhouse is based on factories such as Foxconn's that assemble the world's consumer electronics, toys, and other goods. The ruling Communist Party is trying to contain the latest wave of outbreaks without shutting down factories and the rest of its economy, as it did in the early 2020s. Its tactics include closed-loop management, under which workers live in their factories with no outside contact. And by the way, this is what the American left wants to bring here. Their supporters don't know that either. Foxconn offered its higher pay to attract more workers to the Zhengzhou factory to assemble the iPhone 14, which sells starting at $799 in the US. On Tuesday, a protest erupted after employees who had traveled long distances to take jobs at the factory complained that the company changed the terms of their pay, according to an employee, Li Sanshan. Lee said that he quit a catering job when he saw an advertisement promising 25,000 yuan for 2 months of work. That's about $3,500, which seems low. That would be a significant hike over the average pay for this type of work in the area. After the employees arrived, the company said they had to work 2 additional months at lower pay to receive 25,000 yuan, according to Lee. Foxconn released very tempting recruiting offers, and workers from all parts of the country came only to find that they were being made fools of, he said. Videos online showed thousands of people in masks faking rows of police in white protective suits. With plastic riot shields, police kicked and hit a protester with clubs after he grabbed a metal pole that had been used to strike him. People who shot the footage said it was filmed at the site. The protests in Zhengzhou came as the ruling Communist Party faces rising frustration about restrictions in areas across China that have closed shops and offices and confined millions of people to their homes. Ah yes, Jake Paul's right nut can't drop, who got banned yesterday because his name was apparently targeted harassing. This has boiled over into protests in some cities. Videos on social media show residents tearing down barricades set up to enforce neighborhood closures. The ruling party promised this month to try to reduce disruptions by shortening quarantines and making other changes, but the party is sticking to a zero-COVID strategy that aims to isolate every case, while the other governments relax controls and try to live with the virus. And this, by the way, is why you need guns. This is, by the way, why they're trying to get rid of semi-automatic weapons, going back to what we started with at the top of the show. Do you think the police would be doing this crap if they thought it was going to be their last day out there? I don't. So, that's happening in China. We'll see if they actually realize how much they can Zerg rush the government. I think it might be too much to see a political revolution in China, but I'd be entertained to watch. Foxconn offers to pay workers to leave world's largest iPhone factory after violent protests. From Nectar Gann and Juliana Liu. Foxconn has offered to pay newly recruited workers 10,000 yuan, or about $1,400, to quit and leave the world's largest iPhone assembly factory in an attempt to quell protests that saw hundreds clash with security forces at the compound in China. There you go. Have a problem? Throw money at it. Let's talk Elon. Elon Musk runs poll on whether Twitter should grant mass amnesty to suspended accounts. I didn't answer in the poll, but I did leave a comment on that, and that is of the Chad yes. Elon Musk may be poised to reinstate scads of previously banned Twitter accounts, which means that there will now be 17 KTZeds on the platform. Should Twitter offer general amnesty to suspended accounts provided that they have not broken into the law or engaged in egregious spam? He asked in a Twitter poll. A majority of the votes so far have been cast in favor of the business tycoon's mass amnesty proposal. Yeah, that's a bunch. Since taking over social media, Musk has already reinstated some accounts. Yeah, we know he reinstated Trump. We spent almost an hour talking about that the other day. Earlier this year, Musk said if he owned Twitter, he would reinstate Trump. Musk described the move to kick Trump off the platform as morally wrong and flat out stupid. Trump was booted from the platform last year near the end of his White House tenure. Musk has also reinstated the personal account of Marjorie Taylor Greene. The account had been permanently suspended in January. In October, Musk tweeted, "Twitter will be forming a content moderation council with widely diverse viewpoints." I think that diverse council with widely diverse viewpoints is the entire platform. No major content decisions or account reinstatements will happen before that council convenes. But on Tuesday, he wrote that a larger coalition of political social activist groups agreed to not to try to kill Twitter by starving us of advertising revenue. If I agreed to this condition, they broke the deal. Musk had agreed with conservative filmmaker and author Dinesh D'Souza that Twitter censorship has been targeting conservatives but not leftists. And we talked about that yesterday. So he ran the poll, and with the massive amount of support, yes, Musk is granting amnesty to suspended Twitter accounts. No author given. Elon Musk said Thursday that he is granting amnesty for suspended accounts, which online safety experts predict will spur a rise in harassment, hate speech, and misinformation. What they need to do, if they're worried about this, number one, I do see that a lot of people are utilizing the block function a lot more. So all these leftoids that need to be in an echo chamber, just go use that block function. Trust me, I will take a screenshot of it when you block me and display it as a trophy. I do it every time. I especially like the ones who come back in and comment and then block and think that I'm never going to see it. Even though I can go back and see that somebody commented, and when I see that somebody commented, I can just go back and archive. I can either archive the link to the tweet, or I can put it up in an incognito window and see what the coward had to say to me. But also stop spamming the accounts of people that other people don't follow into their feeds. Now, I'm very proud of the fact that I have not had a single block on Twitter, because I think everybody needs to hear my voice. And I don't just go run and mute when somebody says something that I don't like, but it would be a really nice Twitter experience if I didn't have to see Jersey, my wife's son, Reliant, and Jojo from Joyce every single day, 17 posts a day, and I don't follow them. Is it just women that can lick microphones? I mean, as far as no more permabans, again, I think that suspensions are an effective tool. I don't think that there should be a permanent ban system. Unless, again, like they said, and he did include in there, whether or not they actually broke the law. If they broke the law and used Twitter to do so, then yes, do that. Because that is against the terms of service. And if they did it once, they're probably going to do it again. Let's see. In the month since Musk took over Twitter groups that monitor the platform for racist, anti-Semitic, and other toxic speech, say it's been on the rise on the world's de facto public square. That has included a surge in racist abuse of the World Cup soccer players that Twitter is allegedly failing to act on. I don't know what the hell that was. Something rattled in my kitchen. Going back though to what it is that I had to say with that though, there are a couple things out there. Number one, people are doing it because they think they can get away with it. That's obvious. But number two, I mean, we've seen Reddit threads, major Reddit threads, that talked about the idea that people are absolutely going to go out there and use their left-leaning platform because they hate Elon Musk taking over Twitter so much that they're going to try to sandbag the platform. They're the ones that are running out there screaming the N-word at everything, trying to scare the advertisers away, while also threatening to boycott any advertiser that advertises on Twitter and blocking all advertisements out there, which is wild to me that there are people out there that are not using an ad blocker while they're using Twitter. That is absolutely wild to me. The uptick in harmful content is in large part due to the disorder following Musk's decision to lay off half the company's 7,500-person workforce, fire top executives, and then institute a series of ultimatums that prompted hundreds more to quit. Also let go were an untold number of contractors responsible for content moderation, among those resigning over a lack of faith in Musk's willingness to keep Twitter from devolving into chaos of uncontrolled speech, were Twitter's head of trust and safety, Yoel Roth. Yoel Roth resigned. We have a message for Yoel Roth. So much fun doing that. But yes, there are two ways to go out. And again, I point out the fact that it's a lot of the times the leftoids that thought that they could just get away with it. No, not that they could get away with it, that they would get caught and then they would be able to say, because, I mean, again, there are entire Reddit threads dedicated to the fact of, okay, well, make up as many bot accounts as you can, get on there and spam that N-word and the K-word, and as much as you can. Call gay people that unacceptable F word. Go nuts, go wild. We'll show those advertisers. From the Daily Wire, Elon Musk reveals how he's defining hate speech on Twitter. Twitter CEO Elon Musk said Thursday he's defining hate speech on the platform based on the definitions that the platform used prior to Musk taking over. Musk made the revelation in a tweet about how the company has cracked down on hate speech on the platform amid pressure from advertisers and left-wing activists. Hate speech impressions down a third from pre-spike levels, Musk tweeted, "Congratulations to the Twitter team. I have half a mind to wag my finger at the 1,500 accounts that caused the spike, but I shall forbear. Reducing the max allowed tweets per day to a number below what a speed typist on meth could do was helpful." Oh, that's cool. They throttled accounts? Musk then responded to a question from Daily Wire Plus host Jordan Peterson about how he defines hate speech. Peterson, "How do you define hate speech, Elon Musk? A serious question asked in good faith. This is simply based on the same list of terms that Twitter has used for some time, so ceteris paribus." I could probably do an interview by myself between Elon and Jordan Peterson. Earlier in the day, Musk announced that he was going to grant a mass amnesty to accounts that had been previously banned on the platform. Musk made the decision in response to the final results of a poll he tweeted Wednesday. The platform will begin unbanning accounts en masse, except those who broke the law or engaged in excessive spam next week. He tweeted in response to the results. Musk has already unbanned a number of popular accounts that were permanently suspended before he took over as chief twit. Well, that's what we see. But not to be outdone, we've got just a couple more left, then we'll do live chat. Which I guess I'll have to go over into the restream side and get the live chat, because for whatever reason, while I was setting everything up last night, it didn't occur to me that yesterday was Thursday, and I needed to go and write everybody's name down in the notebook. It felt like a Sunday, you know? Volkswagen brands, including Audi and Lamborghini, suspended Twitter activities. From Gary Gastelou. Volkswagen is the latest automaker to suspend the use of Twitter in the wake of Elon Musk's takeover of the social media platform. All the Volkswagen Group brands, which include Audi, Lambo, Bentley, and Porsche in the US, have paused paid activities, the company confirmed on Wednesday. Volkswagen had previously advised its brands to halt any paid advertising on the platform, Reuters reported. Audi will continue to respond to customer inquiries, but not proactively post or advertise. "We are monitoring the situation closely and will decide on the next steps depending on developments, an Audi spokesperson told Reuters. Several other automakers have taken similar steps since Musk took Twitter private in late October. Stellantis had paused advertising while GM had suspended all Twitter activity across its brands. Musk has been rapidly restructuring the company since he took control, laying off approximately half of its staff and updating policies on account verification and content guidelines. Last week, he reinstated Trump's suspended account after polling Twitter's user base. What's this comment? I'm curious about this. And this is coming from a conglomerate that's been doctoring emissions numbers for decades so they could sell in the US. No hypocrisy at VW, right? Yeah, this is also coming from an automaker who was incepted from Adolf Hitler. So let's keep that in mind. Alright, from the Blaze. Newly unredacted correspondence between St. Anthony of Fauci and top scientists revealed early efforts to shift the narrative on the Pinkowpox possible lab origins despite uncertainty. From Joseph McKinnon. It is clear from newly unredacted communications between top scientists that early in the pandemic, there was a coordinated push to downplay the possibility that the Pinkowpox originated in a lab in order instead to bolster the then unsubstantiated, I guess that's hard to say really fast, claims that the virus had naturally made the trans species jump to humans. Through a FOIA lawsuit, Guardian reporter Jimmy Tobias obtained the newly unredacted emails detailing the February 1st, 2020 teleconference between St. Anthony of Fauci's patron saint of medicine, director at National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, and the only person who should be able to tell you what it is that you can do to stay healthy, because he is the patron saint of medicine and virologist discussing the SARS-CoV-2 virus, as well as other correspondence pertaining to the Pinkowpox possible origins. Emily Koop, a reporter with the nonprofit investigative research group U.S. Right to Know, has incorporated these findings into an extensive and detailed timeline concerning the proximal origin of SARS-CoV-2. Koop noted that in February of 2020, when the aforementioned teleconference took place, several top virologists sought to examine the nature of the coronavirus that would go on to kill tens of millions of people worldwide. Although they ultimately concluded in the journal Nature Medicine that the virus had not been engineered, stating, "We do not believe that any type of laboratory-based scenario is plausible. Behind the scenes, there was a great deal of doubt." They know. They know whether it was intentional or a leak. I don't know if they know that, but they know that that's what they came. They know that's where it came from. A wet market, a bat bite, bat soup. Yeah, it didn't come from any of that. All right, and the last one, coming from Disclose.tv, reporting from The Verge. San Francisco Police Department proposes a new policy that would give robots the license to kill humans. Nope. Nope. Don't want none of that. Nope. Reading from The Verge. San Francisco police considering letting robots use deadly force. I mean, they already do that with drone strikes in the Middle East anyway, so I mean, that's not a huge stretch, but nope. If the cop is going to kill me, I want him to have to look me in the eye to do it. And this is even before we start talking about AI and letting them run autonomously, which is a completely different story and Thank Asimov for the rules of robotics. Alright, and here are why this is a bad idea. And I understand this is from science fiction, but still. This is probably a pretty good guideline. Isaac Asimov's 3 rules of laws of robotics. 1. A robot may not injure a human being, or through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm. 2. A robot must obey orders given by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. 3. A robot must protect its own existence, as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. Yeah, that's still probably a pretty good guideline, because, I mean, these people out here can come out and start to use BattleBot technology to make these things increasingly deadly. I mean, again, we're already doing that with drones, so this is a big nope to me. The San Francisco Police Department is proposing a new policy that would give robots the license to kill, as reported earlier by Mission Local via Engadget. The draft policy, which outlines how the SFPD can use military-style weapons, states robots can be used as deadly force option when risk of loss of life to members of the public or officers is imminent and outweighs any other force option. As reported by Mission Local, members of the city's Board of Supervisors Rules Committee have been reviewing the new equipment policy for several weeks. The original version of the draft didn't include any language surrounding robots' use of deadly force until Aaron Peskin, the dean of the city's Board of Supervisors, initially added that robots shall not be used as use of force against any person. However, SFPD returned the draft with a red line, crossing out Peskin's addition, replacing it with a line that gives robots the authority to kill suspects. According to Mission Local, Peskin eventually decided to accept the change because there could be scenarios where deployment of lethal force was the only option. San Francisco's Rules Committee unanimously approved the version of the... Of course they did. Of course they did. Of the draft last week, which will face the Board of Supervisors on November 29th. Yeah, you guys are probably having about the same problem I am, according to the commentary I see over in the live chat. As outlined in the equipment policy, the SFPD currently has 17 remotely piloted robots, but only 12 are functioning. In addition to granting robots the ability to use deadly force, the proposal also authorizes them for use in training and simulations, criminal apprehensions, critical incidents, exigent circumstances, executing a warrant, or during suspicious device assessments. Now, some of these I don't have a problem with. Training and simulations, criminal apprehensions, that's a hard one for me because that comes into the point where when do they go back out and start to be used or have retaliatory fashion to them? Executing a warrant, I don't like that either. I think, again, in that situation, the officer should have to look you in the eye. But again, like suspicious device assessments or exigent circumstances, having to go into a place that's to try to get survivors out that's filled with the toxic gas. That's what a robot is for. Suspicious device assessments, disarming a bomb, things like that. Those I absolutely agree with the use of robotics for. Absolutely, 100%. While most of the robots listed in the SFPD's inventory are primarily used for defusing bombs or dealing with hazardous materials, newer remote tech models have the optional weapon system, and the department's existing F5A tool, called the Pan Disruptor, can load a 12-gauge shotgun shells. Because of course it can. It's typically used to detonate bombs from a distance. The department's Quintique Talon can also be modified to hold various weapons. A weaponized version of the robot is currently used by the U.S. Army, which I also don't agree with, and equipped grenade launchers, machine guns, aimed a 50 caliber anti-material rifle. This can only end well. I promise you, this can only end well. Now, some of the saving grace by this right now is the fact that we don't have an ability to do AI, and these things can't act autonomously. They are basically remote-controlled cars with guns, which if that doesn't terrify you being in police control, nothing will. But I mean, what's the next step after this point? I'm going to call that a big nope for me. All right. And with that, we're going to finish up for the day and check in with the live chat, see what you guys are doing and what you guys are saying. So, we've got the live chat, which has been very busy today. Let's bring this back up to the top and see here. Sully Blue put his Taylor Swift on hold to be here, but no regrets. Thank you, Sully Blue. But before we do that, I'm actually going to bring this over here and look into what the live chat was doing. Yep, we show one as being live, but let's look at November 21st. There we go. This is what I do at the end of every Thursday. I typically do this, and I just write it down in the notebook because the system here is a little bit jank. Like now, where it's taking forever to load everything back up. This is why I do this written down, by the way. All right. So we've even got the spammer that got included in here before it got kicked out. But Monday's top chatters are A Gaines P, Silent Caster, Horatius 763, Arbolt 24, Randy Crush Saga, Harvey McLeod, KTZed, Jake Paul's tiny left nut, who no longer exists on the platform, but has risen in a new form, and KTZed in another form as well. Let's look at Tuesday. Put this over here while we wait for this. Tuesday, we had Quest Fanning, Harvey McLeod, Silent Caster, A Gaines P, Horatius, Arbolt 24, Quest Fanning, Seawall 728, and MK Ultra Bear. Which I guess for D-Live, because I know that MK's changed his name a few times, it does go back to what you originally set your account as on the D-Live side. Wednesday, give that a minute to think. Wednesday and Thursday, by the way, were slow days. Wednesday, we had Horatius, Arbolt, Quest Fanning in 2 of his forms. I think we had more people than that. I just don't know why. Sometimes Twitch doesn't come through. And again, I probably should have done this late last night. And then yesterday was a slow chat day. Yeah, yesterday is only showing Ron Helton, but I do know that who else was here yesterday? Randy was here yesterday, I saw that. Gaines was here. Jake Paul's Tiny Left Nut was here, so I know that they were here from yesterday, but it was a slow day yesterday. Well, I guess since the technology's not going to be on my side, let's look at what's happening today. Up to the top. No, I don't want that. I said up to the top. Sully Blue, I put my T-Swift on hold to be here, but no regrets. Not even a single letter. No regrets. Chopper9 is here. Good morning, everyone. Sully Blue, not the Boo Boo Choo Choo Express. Yeah, apparently they ship their crap all across the South, and I'm not even talking about their television studios. Horatius is here. Welcome. Thank you. Randy Crush Saga is here. I see you're all out Black Friday shopping. Yeah, I did that once. And it involved a girl. Randy says, Bo, isn't that the one who died? That is the one that died. You are correct. No redeeming factor except the 108,000 to 3 million people who are saved by guns per year. Well, there's no way to have an accurate statistic about that. Oh, my mom is here. Good morning. Yeah, I actually noted that before, which is why I said I hope my niece and nephews aren't watching, or nieces and nephew aren't watching. Horatius, good morning. Quest Fanning is here. Good morning. Oh yes, don't forget to fire both your shots in your double-barrel shotgun into the air. Major Victory, that's a name I haven't seen here for a while. Second should allow every citizen to own a tank. Yes, it should. If you can afford and maintain the vehicle, if you can afford the initial purchase price and the maintenance to purchase the vehicle, then yes, you should be able to own it. The same with the nuclear weapon. If you can afford the technology, the storage, the maintenance, and the initial purchase price of an ICBM, go nuts. Have at it. Most people would be price pointed out at that point. Horatius says, just bring him out behind the tool shed and wallop him. Randy Crush Saga says, it's funny we're making the same argument, but for why it's not okay for us to own these armaments. Major Victory, Biden, we have nukes. We the people. We have corn pop. Horatius says, goat herders in Krapistan whooped them. Yes, they did. Major Victory says, the shooting by the Walmart manager could have been avoided if they didn't lock up his criminal record. I say the same thing about the Colorado Springs shooter. And yes, we talked about that earlier. Horatius says, red flag laws are just going to be used against their political enemies. Yes. Apparently the manager was a diversity hire. I did not know that. Fanning says, correct, this is the point enforcement. I would point out that a regular order of protection, which law can use in probably every jurisdiction, would have applied ERPO/red flag. Unneeded. Major Victory, or LGBS for short. LGBTQIRAMIGIXTBOAM, sometimes Y and Z. Alphabet People Rainbow Coalition, or the Alphabets, says Horatius. Anti-white male coalition, pretty much. Major Victory says, Al Franken's not dead. No, Al Franken is not dead. In fact, he's very much alive. And he's a darling again. Al Frankenstein is uncancelable because he only molested sleeping, can't say that word on YouTube, women. No biggie. Walsh was on point here. He's good on certain topics. Yeah, Walsh, he is good. If I could stay in the Daily Wire, I would probably still listen to him. But one of the things that I didn't like about him is just because he recycled all of his talking points over and over again. Like, if you listen to him daily, if you listen to him like once a month, it's really interesting. If you listen to him daily, you're listening to the same thing over and over again. With Hannity, that was one that I always disliked. When I was first getting into right-wing radio, when I was first deciding to go and start do one-off videos, I listened to Hannity on the way to work on the AM radio. And somehow he always got to the same talking point. This was in 2016. And he was always talking about, you're racist, you're sexist, you're homophobic, you're xenophobic, you're Islamophobic. Do you want these people in there? Hide your server in the basement. He was always making the same point at the same time on the program as you were getting up around the Big Bend, going from Janesville into Madison. It was uncanny how consistently he hit that on the clock every single day. And Walsh is actually a lot the same. Like, in the same kind of program, you can, if you listen to it daily, you can start to hear a pattern where he's into the same point every single day. But yeah, if you listen to him like once a month, he's really good. Can't do that one on YouTube. Thought it was 10 lives. I think it was only 7 in the Walmart shooting. 5 initially, 2 at the hospital afterwards. Franken's not dead. Randy says, well, he could just be a good manager that's tired of all the slackers. Welcome, Randy Crush Saga. Major Victory says, everyone hates their jobs. No reason to shoot out the place. I like my job. Pretty much the only reason that I'm walking away from it is I have no community where I live and money. Randy, he was just tired of trying to pronounce Tanika's name. Oof. What is with the dudes? Yeah, I heard that before. Like, I was thinking about that when we were listening to the CBS video. I'm like, what is going on with this dude's voice? It looks like he's either about to cry or he's about to just break down in general. Randy says he went postal. Yeah, I think that's all that it was. Is he just basically did. He went postal on it. Quest says, Walsh was conservative, but he couldn't accept the reason that he dislikes Trump personally. Policy-wise, they were similar. Yeah, but he still sucks. Quest is talking about Joe Walsh. Horatius was talking about Matt Walsh. Major Victory says of Venezuela, they're still a socialist crap hole. Major Victory says, theory has it, we're going to run out of diesel soon. I don't think so. Unless there's a major event that shuts down processing plants, we're not going to run out of diesel soon. Randy says, I got gas for $2.79 the other day, and I was so confused I thought I'd seen $3.79. Major Victory says, didn't know anything aside from people left the city. Horatio says, where does it go? It doesn't say. They just said it gets spread across landfills across the South, the American South. Major Victory is guessing Florida. That could be. Quest says, I knew there was garbage going to landfills in the South, but no poop. Horatio says, dumped in rural areas would be a perfect example of what they think about non-city dwellers. Crap on them literally and figuratively. Major Victor says, rather ironic since Manhattan is sitting on a landfill. I thought Manhattan was a landfill. Must be what they're filtering out at Owl's Head. Oh, it was Staten Island that was the landfill. Randy says, they installed suicide nets. How much safer do they want? A Gaines P is here. Major Victory says, a lot of supporters are too brainwashed to either see it or care. Probably even say that it's a good thing. Jake Paul's right nut can't drop. Says, like a phoenix, I rise from the ashes of Twitter's bullcrap. Yes, Jake Paul's tiny left nut got banned yesterday. On Thanksgiving, too. Horatio says, looking like a lot of internal instability right now in China, and government using the Pinko pox as a cover for a crackdown. Yeah. Major Victory says both the Pauls are dicks. I know nothing about them. Gain says, what? Your name harassed some snowflake? Jake says, Randy, is it? I thought Jake Paul likes to sort a bag of mixed nuts, smallest to largest, left to right. Major Victory says, sure, pay them the money they probably can't use anyway because of the social credit score that they're trying to bring here. Major Victory says, can he buy Instagram and Facebook next? Jake says, you're not allowed to have a name that references genitalia, but women can lick microphones, let 90% of their tits hang out, and twerk on stream all they want. I got banned from Mazo Minx's Discord, her Twitch, and blocked by her on Twitter for bringing that up. They were having a discussion about rules on work and platforms and stuff like that, and differential enforcement, and I pointed out Amaranth. Amaranth, who, before she went into her big abuse thing, Amaranth, who got banned initially from Twitch for laying back on the bed, full wide open, leg behind her head, full wide open crotch shot, permabanned completely, and then came back because Twitter saw a 1% drop in revenue, or Twitch rather saw a 1% drop in revenue when she was gone. The biggest performer on the platform, and you know that's the one thing too. It's with workplaces, it's with platforms, it's with a host of other things. It's with Twitter. That's one of them that's out there. When they can make money off of you, it doesn't matter how many rules you break. It doesn't matter a lick how many rules you break. If they can make money off of you, they will look the other way. Major Victory says, doesn't Twitter have groups that basically promote kitty diddling? Yes, they do. Randy says, I must be doing it right because I've never seen an ad on Twitter. I only see them at work, if I'm on Twitter at work, because I don't have an ad blocker on that computer. My phone, my tablet, and my computer here all have ad blocker on them. Gaines talking about Peterson. Crap, I forgot to make my bed. Major Victory. Well, go clean your room, bucko. Did you see the video of the two interviews interwoven so it looked like Elon and AOC were falling in love? Yeah, I cried a little bit for that one. Let's see. Major Victory says Cortez's face weirded me out in that one. Quest Spending says Ferdinand Porsche created the bug. That is correct. But the grant for the company came from Uncle Adolf. What are you trying to say about my uncle? Isn't that how Batman was born? I think so. Gaines. Terminator's great. Major Victory with the robot base. Exterminate, exterminate. Quest Banning says Skynet, which I haven't seen that movie. Gaines says, Halt Citizen, your credit score indicates that you're now due for termination. Please stand by. Oh, your social credit score, I should say. Major Victory says, but robots... iRobot says robots can't kill people, and Randy says, it's like these people have never seen a sci-fi movie. But their robot sucks, says Quest Fanning. Horatio says, federalized robot police under liberal control. And we can't make our own beam saber. Job for 9 is expecting her name to be called, which we did. Oh my goodness, I haven't heard my name yet. We got you, don't worry. Horatio says, weren't AOC's teeth pretty terrifying? Beaver-type chomper. She is weird looking. Sally says, what nights are the game streams? I enjoy the Zelda one. I don't know yet. I have to see what my schedule is going to allow for, but it'll probably be just Saturday night at that point. And I might turn the stream on Sundays, sometimes. I don't know yet. Major Victory says Hannity sucks. That's before he starts kissing Trump's behind. Plus says Hannity is plain unpleasant. Yeah, and I made the same criticism about Rush too, because Rush and Hannity both, and I liked Rush, but Hannity and he both did this thing where they curled up to whoever was the most powerful Republican at the time and started kissing their ass. And neither one of them were on the Trump train at the beginning. It's just when he started becoming the most powerful Republican, they were singing his praises, both of them. Horatio says he was a paranoid, narcissistic sociopath. Not related, in my opinion. He would have done it somewhere else if not there. He only worked there for 2 months, I read. Well, that's all it takes to be a manager at Walmart. I know people who have been managers at Walmart for less than that. Let's see. Quest says maybe take the poop up in planes and crop dust. Major Victory says human feces makes for bad fertilizer, so I heard. Horatio says, of course, crapping in the salt for 200 years now. True, Major Victory. Any carnivore or omnivore. Only herbivore manure is good for plants. Let's see. Horatio says, DLive unbanned a lot of accounts on the right, surprisingly. Must want the revenue back while bankers aren't paying attention. Skynet's Terminator. Yes, I know what it is. I just haven't seen the movie. Let's see. Remember Carl's Jr. taking the kids away because the mom didn't have enough cash for the meal in Idiocracy? I don't remember that. I thought Idiocracy... No, I was thinking... For whatever reason, I thought that in Idiocracy was the Demolition Man, where all restaurants are Taco Bell. Can't bait. Bad parent. Job9 says Lake and him would win. I don't know. If I were to pick a vice presidential candidate for the Donald, I would say Rand, if it was me. Horatio says Rush accomplished nothing really with his 40 million daily listeners. Pretty sad, and died with $500 million in shekels left to his trophy wife. Yeah, but isn't that the American dream? Quest says, hope I'll still be able to catch it a few times a week on the new format. I hope so too. Like I say, unfortunately, you can't be in two places at once, and they need me where they're going to be having me working at 7:30 in the morning. So I think 6 is going to be the new time. I think so. I think that's what it's going to be. Horatio says, Rand deserves it, definitely. All right. And with that, we are done. Well, before I hit the outro music, I really do want to say, thank you for everybody who let me be a part of your morning for, God, it's been almost 3 years. I don't want to, the weirdest thing for me is going to be taking this break now, because I've been doing this for almost 3 years at this point. And I know I got to get out of here at some point, but I mean, what are they going to do, fire me? I do want to look at one thing and just say, I have been freaking out a little bit about this move. You guys don't see it, except for the days that I'm overtired because I don't sleep at night. And I think I figured out why. And that's really honestly because between doing streaming like this, and I say that I have no community right now, but really honestly, I needed to have no community for a little while because that did help me recreate and reinvent myself far, far away from the influence of other people who wanted me to be one way or another. Like where I live right now, I have no family anywhere near me. I really don't know anybody, even though I've been here for 4 years. But I think about this too, and like, the first person that I met on the Streamosphere was John from Porch Boys. and then Steven Ignoramus, and then a lot of you people came in from Steven Stream or John Stream, and the first person, actually I should say, that I met there was Seawall, but he knew me back when I lived in the old place still. And he and I hadn't become really close friends as we have become over the years at this point. But really, honestly, I was so broken when I moved in here that I just needed to start over and rebuild from scratch, redo a personality, redo everything else, because that's how bad it was. And I am nervous that I don't know, that I'm going to become more like what I was when I was in Kenosha, and I don't want to be that. It's like the Reliant K song, "Who I am hates who I've been." And I look back and I see how terrible that I was before. But I know that I've achieved the maximum amount of growth that I can here as well. There is a point. I have a cousin I disagree with on a lot of things right now, but you know, one of the things that he does bring up all the time is moving forward. And I can sit here right now in this chair and stream every morning forever until the end of time. Never being allowed for a raise, never being able to allow him to move forward in my life, but sit here and stream until the end of time. Or I can move forward in my life. I've hit the end, the wall, where I can't move forward anymore, where I'm at right now. Which is good, because a lot of that is moving up in the world. I lost everything when I lived in Kenosha. I lost a lot of my internal mechanism and workings when I lived in the last place that I lived with my ex. But I've rebuilt both of those things, even to a point where I'm pre-approved, even though for a small amount, to buy a house. So it's a little intimidating to go back out and start somewhere new, but again, I can't really move forward where I'm at right now. Only side to side and spinning the wheels, and I can't live like that. All right, and with that, we're out of here for the day. And for the next couple weeks. All right, so a reminder that there's not going to be any contemporary for a couple weeks. Next week I am moving. I'll probably be for the first few days in my parents' house, but on Thursday I'll be into my new place, which will be temporary until I can go and buy, and I'll be watching the markets, definitely looking for something that's in that sweet eighth of a million sweet spot. So I'll be out there looking for that. That'll be a little bit of a nerve-wracking thing, but you know, I found a good place working, and then the next week just getting used to my new schedule and seeing when I can effectively start a stream. I'm thinking, based on everything else, 6 is going to be the magic number. 6 Central is going to be the magic number. I'm done with work at 4:30, commute obviously home, but also put it in this place where if I get a further commute, because I've got a really close commute right now, that I can still effectively get everything set up and get the show ready for you guys and do the show. So we'll be looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing you guys here on the new time slot in the new place. And always, thank you everybody for coming by and making me a part of your morning, having your morning coffee with me as we read the news together. We will see you next time over here on Contemporary. And until then, I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.